Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. And, there was such a need, as many people that come to Believe Big have found that there's so many questions regarding mistletoe therapy, what's involved in the process. And, we really wanted to get a patient's perspective on what it was like. And so before we start on that aspect, would you guys share a little bit about your family and yourselves?
Sure. I'm Sonia Davis. I'm 46. I'm a mom of two, 7 and 10-year-old. And I was diagnosed in May with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And I have always been kind of a, not one that always does conventional medicine. So when I found out about Believe Big and Mistletoe, I definitely wanted to give it a try. Yeah.
And what were your thoughts when you found this out as the husband,
Yeah, it was quite challenging, to be honest, because not only am I a husband, but I'm also a physician assistant in internal medicine. So, there's the part of me that's been trained and has practiced for 15 years of doing conventional treatment. And then to have the thought of, well, let's try something that's non-conventional. But when the doctors started giving us some of the statistics, well, actually, as we started doing the research behind the statistics of the conventional treatment, as they say, felt like we got to play with house money because we really had nothing to lose. The odds that they were giving us were not favorable. And so we thought, well, let's just take the bull by the horns and see what else might be out there that we can, enhance survival rate, not just, prolong symptom-free progression.
Yes. And I know you have 2 beautiful children, and a lot of people, question, do I say anything? Do I not say anything? How did they handle it? How did you share with them about what was happening?
We wanted to find out, exactly what the treatment was going to be before we talked to them, but word was getting out, and so we were afraid that they would find out from someone else. So we sat down and had a conversation, and told them that mommy had cancer, and my daughter, she's older. She just turned 10, and she kind of, it was getting very serious. And my son, he's 7, and as a little boy, he said, well, can I get breast cancer? Can boys get breast cancer? And I said, sure, honey, you can get cancer anywhere, and so, but it definitely, I said, God had his hand in this too, because it turned into something that was pretty comical at the time. And my daughter, she said, why did Jesus let you get cancer, mommy? And so, I had to say, it may be to strengthen my faith, and maybe to strengthen your faith. I may be, maybe I'm going to help a lot of people. You don't know what God has in store. And so you just have to trust, and you have to have faith, and you move on, so, and they really, even through, coming here and, going through treatment, they've been great, the prayer is heal mommy's body 100%. And so that's what I always think of mistletoe, is it's going through my veins, and I'm like, okay, God, your healing liquid is going through and it's healing me. And so that's exactly what I think. And the kids have been great through it all.
And we felt the best option would be honest, be open, but maybe withhold some of the details behind it. Yeah. And that's kind of the approach that we've tried to take with them. Is we don't want them to ever think that we're hiding something from them. We don't want them to think that we're not being completely honest with them. But there are certain details that we're just not going to share because it doesn't do anything to help them.
Yeah, and their age and what they can handle at their age. So
we don't want to cause more worry or so. But yeah, it's God's had his hands in all of this.
Interesting. So how did you find out about mistletoe therapy?
Well, I had found out a few years ago when my mom had ovarian cancer, and then Trisha Duke, she said, you need to go talk to Evilise. Have you researched this? You really need to research this. And then I came in and talked to you before you moved, and and I just felt this overwhelming feeling like, okay, you have to do this. It's just, you have to go and pursue this, before you pursue conventional. And yeah, I mean, and I feel wonderful. I'm full of energy, and I feel great, and I'm not in pain, and so yeah. But that's how I found out about it through my mom when she had cancer, and then through Trisha Duke again when I was diagnosed.
And so when you decided that you wanted to, because you're doing the IV mistletoe, because there's two different kinds, of course. Yes. The injections. Are you doing the injections as well?
I'm doing the injections as well. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were going to do the IV mistletoe, it's having to decide that you're going to come, long distance in order to get the infusions. You came all the way out here to Colorado. So when you were discussing this with your extended family, what were their thoughts? What did they think as you were processing all of this?
Well, I mean, and they were all supportive, very supportive. If you feel like this is what you need to do, we're going to support you. And I think Casey on the conventional side of medicine was like, you have all these doctors telling you, to do the chemo, and and why aren't you starting that? And I said, well, I feel like right now, I don't want to pursue that. But Dr. West has said to do the oral chemo as well when I get home, and so I'll pursue that. But yeah, I mean, I feel great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're doing something that a lot of people sometimes stuff down and they don't think about it, which is listen to your gut. So many times we have all this information and we have this feeling, for us as Christians, we know it's the Holy Spirit telling us and guiding us and leading us. But so many times we kind of push that aside and say, well, this is what these experts are saying. And so that must have been really hard, I bet, to just kind of decide, or was it, I'm going to do this first and then I'm going to follow through here. What was your thought, Casey, as the conventional side when you're trying to determine that?
Yeah, well, back to seeking treatment out here, last year we came to Boulder for a concert. And we loved it so much, we said, we have got to come back and do a vacation here and bring the kids. And it was the exact same weeks as her treatments.
Wow.
A year later, I mean, we had hotels booked 9 months ago.
Wow.
And we needed to add on 2 weeks at the beginning. But my dad, when he found out, he said, I found this residence inn. We're going to stay there. We're going to, we're going to bring the kids so the kids can be a part of her healing process and she doesn't have to be a part. And so that was really, again, God had his hand in directing us where we were going to have our vacation last year.
Wow.
And, from a health insurance standpoint, we were self-employed last year. This year, we have health insurance, which has been able to cover a lot of the conventional treatments. But as far as from a conventional standpoint goes, I think that we've sought treatment from a local hospital. And one of the things that kind of turned us was when the doctor told us that this medicine's been on the market. We've had 10-year great success with this medicine for 10 years. And then as we go back and research, it's only been on the market for 2. And he also said during the initial evaluation and meeting with him that he didn't believe that the nutrition played a part in the healing process. And so for us, that kind of really, I don't want to say soured, but really threw up some red flags with, okay, so conventional, we need to seek something else that's more holistic. But then we also got, consultations with Hopkins and Northwestern and even a couple of the naturopaths. And they were all saying the exact same thing, that they thought the oral chemo provided benefit, but the naturopaths certainly suggested we seek the other alternatives as well. So I think there's a nice blend. I really do. And I don't, I don't think we shun one or the other.
Yeah.
But I think the combination really is going to help Sonia survive.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I think so many times, whether it's a conventional doctor or a naturopathic doctor, is one of the things that we're trying to teach at Believe Big is everyone's story is different. Everyone's path is different. And we need to use the best of both worlds, whatever that may be for you specifically, to heal you as a whole. And that's just part of the story. We know that the medicine part, the naturopathic side, or even the conventional side, is just one piece of that puzzle. And there's so many other pieces of that puzzle that play a role in your healing. And whether it's your emotional, the stress, the mental battle. You touched on that a little bit ago about how when you were having the infusions, you just pictured this as liquid healing, that mental battle. Tell me about the mental battle. How has that been for you?
I think, in the beginning, there's all of that fear, that sets in. You get your diagnosis and, they said stage 4. I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't had I've been asymptomatic, how in the world can I have cancer? So all that fear sets in, you think, oh, I have 2 children, like they're going to be without their mommy. They're, all these things set in and but God gives you the peace, and so I had total peace, knowing that, I believe God is going to heal me. I believe, you had talked about a Trivial Pursuit puzzle, and how it's all different pieces of that puzzle. And I completely believe Jesus is going to heal my body, but I also believe that, there's mistletoe in place to heal my cancer, prayer, the support system, all of that. And I've had complete peace. That fear is gone, so that's been, it's wonderful, but I completely understand, how fear can set in. So.
And I know for me, like, I know that, I always say Jimmy almost has a harder job because as a patient, we can handle that and we know that. But as a caregiver, it can sometimes be even harder. So your perspective as the caregiver, how did the mental battle play?
The mental battle was hard. So for me, initially, I'm a numbers guy. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at, and trying to understand, trying to comprehend, it was overwhelming. It was exhausting. Trying to figure out the right things to do, what to do. In all transparency, how many more years do I have with my wife?
And he almost had this in the beginning, this outlook. He would look at me, and I would see this just terrible look on his face, and just he was. And I said, stop putting me in the grave. Like, I said, you can't do this to me. And, but yeah, and he said, okay, I know it, you're right. God's going to heal you. We've got this. And so, but coming home and seeing him, every day I was like, yeah, don't do this to me.
You know him well enough to know.
Yeah.
Well, and part of it was I had some of the results before she did. And so dealing with that and I didn't want to be the one to give them to her. I didn't feel like that was my place. I needed to be husband, not provider. So that was a challenge. But one of the things that we decided to do, and especially during our cross-country trip from driving from Maryland to Colorado in 24 hours. We booked it.
Wow. I can't believe you did that. It took us 3 days. So.
Yeah, we were hauling. And but we decided, like, what are we thankful for? Because we felt like it was really hard to be discouraged and disheartened when we're being grateful for other things. And it's really something that your friend John Gordon kind of talks about a lot, about gratitude. But even just stupid stuff as we're traveling on 70, literally for 24 hours, we're thankful for Dwight Eisenhower creating the interstate system so we could get there in 24 hours. And then on the way home, I took a red eye home so I could work for another 2 weeks, and we were thankful for Orville and Wilbur Wright for their flying machine, and Southwest. And so, that really helped us kind of focus on the positives. What are all the blessings in our lives? And just the fact that we have support system like Paul and Kathy and like you guys to help us kind of navigate this journey. And you've been there, and because we certainly couldn't imagine doing it on our own.
And when we first set out, like, I had a little bit of fear, driving that far. Our kids weren't with us, and I was trying to rest as he was driving. And I remember, I thought, oh, dear Jesus, help us get there safe. And I opened my eyes, and the car in front of me, the license plate said Faith. And I was like,
wow.
I was like, okay, okay, I'm not
I got it.
anymore.
And so how easy was it to travel out here and, the logistics of it? What if you were to give someone advice on what you would recommend doing if they're preparing or thinking about coming to get mistletoe therapy, wherever that may be, IV mistletoe therapy, what would you encourage them to do, or what would be your best advice to them?
Well, I think it's probably going to be a little bit different for everybody. For us, we needed our car and needed, all of that stuff. But if they're just coming by themselves, then, flying may be the better option, one lady that I met in the infusion room, she's flying from Los Angeles and she just Ubers everywhere.
Okay.
So that's a better option for her. I think everybody's going to be a little bit different.
I think it's really convenient because, Nature Med in Boulder is very. You can take a nice bus or Uber from Denver. It's really easy to get to, and it seems like wherever you stay, it's easy cycling depending on how you're feeling. Some people probably aren't up to that, but in Sonia's case, like she could have cycled back and forth. We stayed at a really nice. I mean, the Residence Inn. Those ladies became family almost.
They were so nice and so accommodating.
Our daughter's birthday was while we're there, and so they gave her a $20 gift certificate so that she could do a shopping spree in a store.
So nice.
With nail clippers and toothbrushes. But, she was excited.
The thought of that.
And so, that was really convenient and a blessing too, that we had a place to stay like that. It was just, they thought of everything. They really took care of us.
So share with me, what's a typical day, at the infusion center. So
and they'll set up a schedule for you. So for me, I wanted to do mornings, so I'd have the afternoons with the kids, and we could sightsee or do some different things because I was feeling so good. But if it's better in the afternoon, if you're not feeling so well and it's hard to get up in the morning, they'll accommodate that schedule. So for me, I tried to get in there 9:30. Every morning, and so I would, walk in and they, greet you, and then you go into the infusion room. Preston, who was the phlebotomist, he was awesome. I became friends with him, and I would, they would hook me up, and and it was, you meet friends too. There are people that you meet that are in there, and you exchange information. What are you doing? What's your, what are the protocols that you're doing? So it was great. Sometimes I'd listen to worship music. Sometimes, I was catching up with friends and, and different things like that. But it really, it was painless, and so, each infusion, they start you off at a lower dose, so the first infusion's about an hour. It can extend up to about 3 hours. So, but time went fast.
That's awesome. So, and did you feel a difference with it, or did you, what have you noticed since, because you were there 3 weeks?
I was there 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I would say coming into it, I was pretty tired. But I don't feel like that anymore. I'm sleeping better and feeling better overall. Luckily, thank God I wasn't in pain. But there was one lady that, that came this week, and she had been through so much chemo that she would just continue to get sick and sick and sick. And as of yesterday, she was able to sit in the infusion room. She wasn't sick. She was talking to us.
Aww.
So that's just she'd only had 4 days of mistletoe. She was doing. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
for you to see. Yeah. That's great.
And her demeanor changed too. I mean, from the first day, she was just very sullen, I guess is the best word for it. And then afterward, yesterday she was, smiling and talking with us and talking to the kids, which before it was almost, we would just visit. We wouldn't sit in the infusion room with Sonia, but and then also you were with, maybe explain about Dr. Weston, the initial consultation too, because.
Yeah. So initially, when I met with her, she did. She said, we're going to do an extensive lab panel. So I'm going to have you go for that. And so we met twice. So met her initially, and then she said, look, we looked at supplements. We looked at Mistletoe. And she went through and tweaked some of the supplements I was doing, added some more supplements in. And I think they really boost you too, and then we met the second time going through that whole blood panel, which was really interesting, looking at inflammation markers and different things that, that point to cancer. So, she said there could have been some underlying things happening all along had you had this extensive panel.
Wow.
Where you would have known. So some were cancer markers, different things like that. And praise God, my cancer markers have come down since May. So, so that's been a blessing too. So, yeah.
Now, I know that you guys have been very healthy and you're active and similar story in that sense, but what have you changed as far as what have you learned about nutrition, or for your case specifically about inflammation? Because we know that inflammation is the root of all diseases, not only cancer, but fibromyalgia and all these other diseases that people are struggling with. So inflammation is huge. And so what did you learn about your diet specifically, or what did you change? I know everyone's story is going to be different because of their sensitivities and what their body chemistry is showing. But what aha moment, or what was that you found, because nutrition, and how is that?
The big thing that I changed was dairy. Eliminating the dairy, the casein in the milk and dairy can feed cancer. Sugar. I mean, sugar is huge. Now, I hadn't eaten, refined sugar for a long time, but there were some things that I was eating in my diet that, even the vegetables like carrots and peas and potatoes that I was eating, which are healthy, but for me, it was more sugar that would feed that cancer. So eliminating that stuff. Of course, I'm, eating more and more vegetables and cruciferous vegetables and those kinds of things. But I was feeling, I first went vegan, and I was just feeling a little tired, and so they said do organic chicken, do some fish. Even when my blood work came back, I can do a little bit of grass-fed beef once a week, and so that was delicious. I love meat, but I feel great, and it gave me more protein, more energy, so. But eliminating the carbs, I was, doing some, whole grain carbs, but even that can turn into sugar in your body. So they wanted me to go, gluten free and eliminate a lot of that. So it's it's been a change, but certainly doable, and I'll do it because food is medicine, and and I totally believe what you put in your body, makes a difference.
It really does. And I really try and stress that to people out, because people only ask, what exactly did you eat? But for each person, again, it's so different. So for me with colon cancer, I have to avoid red meat at all costs. But so every cancer, whether someone's going through treatment, whether they're going through conventional treatment, they may need some grass-fed organic, protein from a meat source that can help them to give them the energy that they need. Right. Some people, they do best on a completely plant-based diet. Right. So it really is important to have, someone who is knowledgeable, not only nutrition, but oncology nutrition, and how great that you got the opportunity to not only speak to them about that, but also to get the panel that would actually show what specifically you needed for your case. Yes. So you're on the right path for sure. So, but this has just been amazing. Thank you guys so much for taking the time, to share with all of us your story, what you've been through. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close?
No. I don't think. I mean, I think if you're on the fence and you're not sure, go for it. You have nothing to lose. Yeah. So, I would definitely encourage anyone that's considering it to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah. How about you, Casey? Anything? Any advice
no,
for?
She said it all.
All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys again. You're a blessing to all those who come around you, and you're just so strong and courageous. And through this all, we are just praying for you, and we are believing big that God is going to do His healing work within you. And so,
Amen. Yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.